I think the more you can learn about yourself, the greater you can impact others, right? The more self-awareness, and then what you can teach and what you can gain from that and get out of your own way and really realize that we are our own biggest limitation for our unlimited potential. And to not get into this rat race of just the achievement treadmill that ultimately isn't super fulfilling, and you're just racing to meet a bar set by other people that will change, and to identify for yourself and know for yourself and compete with yourself and unlock yourself and tie that to a bar that is your legacy in everything you do and stay present in that. And that's why being authentic and finding a way to do that and be successful and define for yourself what success means, and being able to remind and reset and gain perspective when you lose that, because we all do, is one of the most powerful things that you can do, that will lead you in a way that might not be always clear what the next step is, but will lead you there with conviction that is ultimately really meaningful and meaningful to the others who can see you.
Welcome to 99 Humans. My name is Jeff Lakusta, curious coach and Wall Street Journal best-selling author, striving to understand how little things generate big impact.
And I'm Nadia, Carta, tech executive and lifestyle coach with a mission to transform lives and corporations by kindling hearts to generate a zeal for life.
Each week, we investigate stories about the human side of leadership to re-energize your spirit and help you become a stronger leader.
Because the reality is that leadership is messy, goofy, challenging, but always human.
Thanks for spending time with us today. Let's dive in.
Well, welcome. I am very excited that after probably a semester of plotting, we were able to make this happen. Is that true, Brittan?
Yes, that is true. That is on us a bit.
Okay, you should know that this woman is a badass woman, one of the most amazing ones that I've ever met, not only in the tech industry, but worldwide. So I'm really happy that you're here. And she happened to be married to an interesting man. Hi.
What an intro, Mike, right? I mean, come on.
Hey, I'm just the plus one. It's fine with me.
Oh, man.
I love it. So this is our very first 99 Humans podcast episode where we have two guests at the same time. The wonderful Brittan and Mike. Thank you for joining us. This show is all about human leadership and understanding the reality of people working with people. And Brittan, obviously, as Nadia said, you know Nadia through the Google sphere, and Mike, you own your own SEO agency. So both of you are in the sphere of leadership, and you're doing that together. And I think that's what makes this so special, is you're leading and working in the business world separately. But the reality of being a human being is that there's nothing that's ever separate, right? Like real life is constantly getting in the way. Yeah. And so maybe we'll start just by handing you the mic. And can you share what you're up to right now? What's keeping you busy? Brittan, let's start with you, and then we'll go to you, Mike.
Wow, what's keeping me busy? Since we're talking about our whole life, definitely Mike and I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, 2 little girls. So they absolutely keep us busy and on our toes. In addition to just casually navigating the third great digital wave and how to, continue to be successful through that in the tech world in a sales position. So, just like very chill things like that.
Easy.
Very chilled things like
very
that.
Chill. Just chill, trying to figure out what kind of world our kids are growing up in and how to navigate all of it. Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, so I run a digital marketing agency. We primarily focus on SEO, content strategy, and now generative AI. I'm also the CMO of a generative AI startup called AIPRM. Oh, my agency is called iPullRank, by the way. And I'm also finishing up a book on SEO called The Science of SEO. So, just somebody who's sitting here living too much life for one person, considering all the other things that B just said we got to focus on as well.
I mean, I think I need probably 4 hours in understanding all of this. Like even building an agency already around AI, I'm still figuring out how to make prompts to Bard of ChatGPT. So getting in there. How did the two of you meet, by the way?
Mike.
We met at a conference, a search marketing conference, and we were both working obviously at different places. She was working at a SEO agency based in Indiana. I was working at a ad agency based here in New York, and I told my friend, I was like, that woman, I'm gonna go talk to her, and I asked her to sell me something, and apparently it's a whole life.
Yeah, who knew?
And how long have you been together?
It'll be 12 years in October. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so nice.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, you choose well. Okay.
I feel like the question that if either one of you were alone on the show that is obvious is how the hell do you have the time to do what you do?
You
Well,
don't.
here's the interesting twist to have you both is how do you work together to make the time for each other's very busy, rich, wonderful whole lives that are, so much bigger than a job or a project. You've got a laundry list, both of you.
So is this a podcast or therapy?
I don't know. Let's see how it goes, right?
We are big believers in therapy in this house.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. Nadia too. We're in.
Should we invite our couples therapists to tell us how bad we are at this?
Yeah, we're really bad at this. Definitely.
We're really bad at this, actually.
I would say that both of our lives are basically just triage. Like, what is the most important thing that needs to get done right now? I think that planning is difficult for a variety of reasons. Like, we both have a ton going on. Our kids have a ton going on. So yeah, I don't have any like, this is where someone says on a podcast, I do this. I get up at 5 a.m. You got to do it this way. Like, nah, we don't have any of that. It's just figure it out as we go.
I mean, I'll add to that. Like, we're very high functioning. So what we think when he says that, we both have really high bars for ourselves and for the life we're trying to create for our kids and for each other. And so what we do when we think is triage is like more than some people do in a year. And I'm not trying to, like, we work really hard to do that. We work really, really hard. And so it is tough because when that's the bar, that's like the context you're used to, it is a tough measurement stick, right? And so we both just have so much to do. And so he's an entrepreneur. There's so much that comes with that. But I'm in Google leadership, Nadia, what comes with that. And it's like, you can't compare things, but you also just have to be realistic on like what everyone's going through. And it's just not really possible. And then like with the stuff we've been navigating with how the world is changing and what that's meant for parents and childcare and like, there's just, it's a story where even though we have a lot of resources, thankfully, it's still this hard. And so it's the reality of sharing that, the having it all thing and the two, we both are really gunning in our careers at all times. Like the reality is just like really, really difficult.
Well, I'm going to dwell into this path we're taking. I promise it's not going to be therapy, but a lot of times people finish our podcast interviews and they say, oh my God, that was so good and healing. So we'll see if that happens today.
I'll clean up for us, Nadia. What are you
You said a couple of things with such a nonchalance, but I want to double click on it because this is the first time. So we've done 70 of these already. And it's actually one of the first time that we are entering the uncharted territory of having a successful couple where both of them are thriving, both of them have ambition, and both of them are succeeding from the outside lenses, right? Then you tell us if that is not truth. Mm-hmm. But can you bring that to life for us for a minute, Brittan? Because 99 Humans is a podcast where people get vulnerable. It's very raw.
Mhm.
So Mike, to your point, this is not the place where people say that they got it all bottomed up, if not the contrary, even though we had a doctor talking about stress management. So watch out for that. But what does that mean, Brittan, in your life typically? You said both of you, for example, are away a lot. So, and you said you have eye bars. What those bars look like, and what does that mean in the way you lead your teams and the people that are working for you?
Mhm. Was that for me or Mike?
Ladies first.
Well, you said bars, and Mike is also a musician, and that's a rap reference. So I was gonna kick it to him for the bars, but okay. What does it mean? I mean, I think it's a really good question. I'm trying to figure out how to answer it because there's a lot of, it keeps you really humble, and you really realize, like, you know how I feel, Nadia, about representation being just so crucial as a business function. Like, you have got to have diverse representation, and I include in that being very real about what it takes to get to where you are, and what it takes to maintain that. And I think that's something I definitely bring personally to my leadership, is I try to be really authentic and have a lot of transparency. I know for me, coming back from 2 maternity leaves, I was like looking at the women around me like, what the hell? You've been doing all of this, and like, you look cute today. You're like on trend, and like, how am I can barely get out of bed and like get here without like breast milk on my shirt. Like, how am I ever going to do this? Because my whole way of working has to change. And I just remember seeing all these powerful women that I knew had children just like looking amazing. And I really thought they had their shit together. And I realized that's what I look like now. That's what I look like now to people. And and whenever I talk to like a new parent, I'm like, I know what I look like to you. And it's just because I have adjusted to what is required of me now. And I have the right resources, and I'm transformed in a different stage than when you're in the middle of a transformation and you are trying to figure out who you are and how you live. And it's an ongoing thing, as we know. Parenting keeps you on your toes. You know, the second you get cocky and you think you got it, something changes. And the same thing is true about your career. And so once you've been doing things for long enough, you sort of have that confidence, like whatever's going to change, because something will for sure. I got this. But that humility that is, it's going to probably be hard. And whatever I think I'm awesome at now, there's like 10 things I don't know and 10 things I can be better at. And like really going for it in life and taking risks, and then also seeing the opportunity to learn in that failure keeps you in that space, and bringing that to leadership and teaching others about how to expect that and how to get through that and get that confidence that you will, and that opportunity to learn in the things where you maybe fall short on and keep it going is absolutely a huge driver of where I come from as a leader.
Well, Mike, how are you going to top this? This was beautiful.
I'm not.
I love this, Nadia. Can you come like facilitate?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that from the things that I've witnessed from when B and I worked together, she's just a better leader than I am. And so what I mean by that is like, I don't have the patience to like tailor myself to each person. I don't have the patience to be like, okay, this is what this person needs from me so that they can do their best. I'm like, here's my expectation. You gonna meet it or not? You know what I'm saying? And like, cause that's just not how I am. And I think it's good that I know that about myself, because otherwise it's like you're expecting people to, you know, you're expecting an outcome from people that you're not necessarily giving them what they need to get. And what I mean by that is like, again, great leaders do what B does, where it's like, who are you as a person? Who is it who do you need me to be to like help you level up? And I just know that about myself. So it's like when I look for people, I'm looking for the person that is already doing what I need them to do, because I know that they're already kind of like they're self-wired to level up in that way, and it's really about me just giving them the opportunity. So I'm not going to be the person that's the coach. I'm going to be the person that's like, here's where we need to go, can you come with me? If not, then maybe you need to go somewhere else. And even as I described that, I'm sure people are like, oh wow, you sound terrible to work for. But I think for someone who thrives in that way, I'm great to work for. um, so I'm all about like, okay, here's my expectations. Here's everything you need. What else do you think you need? Okay, here's that too. Now live up to what we agreed to, and that's pretty much it.
Mike, thank you for sharing that amazing humility and what you shared about your, partner here. I want to dig into that because I'm curious in your house how this dynamic works. I'll share how it works in mine, just for parallel. I'll be fair. So
Yeah,
my husband and I have our 10th wedding anniversary coming up this year,
congrats.
and we're good at different things, and he's way better than I am at many things, as you shared. Okay, so in a similar boat, but I don't really like to go to him for advice on how to do things. Like when it comes to my job, and I'll be complaining about a tough situation. I'll be complaining, and he's like, "Have you thought about X?" And I'm like, "I definitely don't want to do X now. Whatever the recommendation was, if it came," and I recognize that in myself, and it's silly, and when I can laugh at it, but I'm wondering how it works for y'all. Like, is this a superpower that you have, that you get to work together on these things? Maybe is work off limits and you try not to bring that into the house as much? There's so many versions of how to partner together on this. I'm curious what it looks like for you. And maybe Mike, I'll start with you because you brought it up.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely difficult because, especially because we spend so much time working from home, and there's like, you see the bed is right there. You know what I mean? Like there's no, I see yours too.
I'll turn my camera just to the left. There's my bed. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
We
So
all
there's
got
like
it.
there's no separation. And when it's like, okay, you worked all day, and 2 days a week we're working in the same room, and it's like I'm hearing everything that you're talking about, you're hearing everything that I'm talking about. There's just no separation in your life from work, right? And then what you just described, where it's like, there are moments when you want to talk about something, but you don't necessarily want advice, but the person wants to help you solve the thing because they love you, right? And I think that goes both ways. Like there's times where, I'm saying like, oh, I'm having all these problems with sales or whatever. And obviously she's the expert in sales. And she's like, well, why didn't you do this, this, and this? And it's like, well, now I feel dumb. Like, so there is that aspect of it that is difficult to navigate, because oftentimes, you just want your partner to be there for you. And then there are times when like you do want the advice, but it's like, how do you do that in a way where you don't feel bad when you ask for advice? And what actually works best for me is just like overhearing what she does, right? Like I kind of just like, oh, that's a good idea. Like maybe I can incorporate this in this way, and so on.
The
Um,
secret steal instead of the outright,
yeah,
I like it. I like it.
yeah, but the moral of the story is that it's difficult, but I don't think it comes out of anything where it's like a competition or like I'm better than you or anything like that. It's just like a difficult thing to navigate emotionally.
Okay, Brittan, tell us the truth now.
Well, it's different. I mean, one thing I think he kind of like dropped it casually in there, but there was a point where we did work together.
Oh yeah, that was hard.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did?
Mm.
Oh yes. Yes. And it was, yeah, it was,
When was that?
oh man.
Like 11 years ago,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And we were peers. We were both directors at this company. And my team was like selling the stuff that Mike did. And we were pretty good at it. But for him and I, whoo, It was really it was much earlier in our relationship. There was a lot of like contributing factors, but it was really, really.
Sounds hard late in a relationship too, I think.
Yeah,
So
no, yeah. Like I'm not.
So wait, were you already together when you worked
Yeah,
together?
yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you take the deliberate decision to be
I
together
know
and work
that's a
together?
great. That's an appropriate facial.
Okay.
That's appropriate. That was not our like. That was a lot of people's question, and then a lot of unsurprising. It did not go well. Like, and here we are
I
today.
mean, but it did though. Like from a business perspective, the results that it yielded were
Yes,
great.
they were, which now you fully appreciate, but at the time, maybe not so much. So,
was there anything in that time that you learned that's helping you now?
oh,
Like, so
God.
working so intimately, I would guess there's like definitely don't do that. A lot of like avoid, but maybe
Yeah.
also some things to keep continue and do.
I mean, I don't know that I have that answer, Jeff, but I will tell you that um, he and I are very so different if you can't already tell. Like, and we need very different things. So like I come to him all the time and I ask him, I'm like, am I thinking about this right? What would you do? Wait, do I understand this problem? Give me another perspective. And I'll just like straight up pick his brain, probably like in an annoying way when he's trying to do something else or doesn't want to talk about it. I brought him in to do like an AMA from an outside perspective with my team on Gen AI. I'm always like, people are sick of hearing me talk about my husband's doing this, he's writing this book, he did this song. Like, I'm a very like, I really lean into a lot of things about him that are so strong and help make me better as a professional. So when you ask that about how do we work together, like he keeps me on my toes on a broader perspective, on client experiences, reminds me of like how fortunate I am with the stability of a company like Google and like lots of elements like that. Also, how messages are landing versus how we experience it. Because when you work at a company for so long, you can really start to lose perspective, and he's helped me maintain perspective, which is really helpful. And then in terms of like me learning to leave him alone when I hear something and I'm like, but I have a thought, but I have an idea, but wait, like I have really had to learn that, but it's made me a better leader and coworker because he's an introvert, he is a technologist, he needs like unbroken focused time, and I'm like flitting all over the place and can be really disruptive to people who need to work like that. So I now thank you. Yeah. Okay.
No,
I
So
got
I think that's something. I think that was one of the key things when we worked together. She would just like run up in my office, like, I need this right now. I'm like, yo, get out.
but like no one else ever he would say that to me. I'd be like, excuse me. Like it was bad. It was a bad situation. He would never talk to one of his coworkers the way we had some of the issues now, right? The way that happened then. And I wouldn't do that now, the way it happened then, right? So like we're both at very different places in our career. I wouldn't say I learned that necessarily in that situation, but I will tell you, I became a lot more educated in understanding like different learning styles, different working styles, different like energies, and how to recognize that much more quickly and how to be more self-aware about um, just like what I bring and how that can land and how to just be more collaborative and productive across different types of people. So, but I've also had to learn like sometimes he just like doesn't need my perspective. He just needs me to be his wife and like just cheer him on and just listen. And like for him, listening is if I don't say anything, which I'm like, I can't ask questions. I can't share an example, but it's it's obviously a work in progress, but it is hard. It is hard. Yeah.
I want to go back to one thing that Mike said, and when you said, "Well, my leadership style is either this way." How do you say in America? It's either my
My
way.
way or the highway. Yes. That's
Okay,
Not
okay,
that,
exactly. Isn't exact. I mean, as a woman that, like, Brittan was saying, probably we're wired by the Google way, this thing that you don't tell people what to do, but you coach them into finding what to do, like this whole thing. Sometimes I do think that is quite liberating to say, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it. If you don't like it, goodbye. Like it really frees you up from the duty of meeting people where you are. And this is going to be a very probably unpolite sentence, but as leaders, don't you feel that sometimes it's exhausting to
Right.
always adapt to what the people want and need? And probably, Mike, your approach is the one that saves a lot of energies.
Well, I just want to clarify, it's not my way or the highway. It is, here's where we're going. You're smart. Tell me how we're going to get there. Right. Like, so like generally speaking, yes, I'll have some ideas like, okay, we should probably do this. We should probably do that. But this is your role. Maybe my idea isn't the best one. So you bring that back to me. But what I'm saying is most people kind of like take that paint by numbers approach where they're like, well, I see we did it before this way, so I'll just copy this and not think critically about how to improve it. But to your point, yes, absolutely, it's exhausting. Like as an introvert, that is the most exhausting part of my day, having to be malleable towards what someone needs from me in order to basically get what I want, right? Like it's not something that is like so natural that it just makes me emotionally exhausted at the end of every day. So it's the days where I have like a ton of sales calls where I'm way more exhausted than the days where I'm just like physically doing things.
That makes so much sense. I'm a big fan of Brittan, and Brittan knows that sometimes, especially in large corporation, it's so hard to get stuff done. And especially when you have good ideas and brilliant ideas and bringing everyone else along, it takes a lot of time. So I'm dreaming a little bit with your agency, Mike, because you surely get a lot done.
Yeah.
So what is the one thing that you would like to get done right now?
My book.
Right, we haven't spoken about the book yet.
We gotta talk about the book. Yeah, so tell us what you're working on. What inspired you to want to pile on one little project called writing, publishing a book, which is a huge labor of love. I am a writer, and so I have a lot of empathy, sympathy, all of the understandings of this is a beast.
Yeah, I've kind of looked at it as like the capstone for my SEO career. Like, I don't know how much longer I want to keep doing this. And, the thing about SEO is like no one really knows how it works, but it doesn't really make sense because Google hires engineers every day that work on search. So someone knows how it works at least a little bit to then come in and start working on it. And so my background is computer science. And I was like, all right, well, let's take a computer science approach to this and look at all the research that's out there. Look at, just like the general best practices in information retrieval, which is the computer science behind how search works. And, take all that information and make it accessible to, regular people so they can truly understand how Google works. And so it's called The Science of SEO. And when I did the outline for the book, they were like, yeah, so, 350 pages sounds about right. And so when I turned in the first draft of the book, it was 600 pages. And where I'm at right now is like 850. So it's just this like undertaking where when you go down these rabbit holes, you're like, wait, this is much deeper than I thought it was. And I'm also such a perfectionist and I'm like, well, I can't leave that out. Like it doesn't meet the premise of the book if I leave this thing out. And I also like to present these technical concepts in ways that are, again, accessible. So like I'm using a lot of, extended metaphors visually and things to like explain things. So it's like, it's really comprehensive, but it's like, it also feels like it's never going to be done.
Nadia, I'm just going to tell you he's a Virgo because I know that will help you with this.
Oh, okay. Now makes a lot more sense.
That means nothing to me. Wait, give me
I knew that Nadia would know what I meant. Though.
I mean, now makes a lot of sense because I'm even like, like I am struggling in writing 30 pages of a journal that I want to publish this fall. And here you are saying that you wrote, hey, 150 people about SEO. Like, what are you writing about?
Oh my God. Also, Nadia, he knows way more about the company we've both worked for a very long time than we could ever hope to. And
Wow.
yeah, all patents are publicly available. He calls me like the worst resource ever because I'm like, okay,
Like,
that's
we
not
don't know.
SEO. I don't know, man. Like,
We'll join you, Brittan. I think I'm with you in that.
I do have a very silly question. I mean, Brittan, how much interest do you have in SEO normally in your life?
well, okay, I was in the SEO industry doing sales for like what, 6 years before I moved into this. So like I know, like that's how we met. And he's like, wow, this chick understands SEO. That's not how he talks at all. But, I was like doing biz dev for an SEO company.
But
So
it's not that you would like, would
I,
you read
here's the
your
thing.
husband's book?
Oh, am I going to read it? Absolutely not. There's no way. Like, I'm a skim. I'm going to get I'm going to just, he's going to let me know which ones. So, but like, there's going to be a lot of like, come on, there's like diagrams of algorithm. Like I can't, but I'm like learning along with him. I am super interested in about like not from a computer scientist perspective because hello, that's not me. But I think it's fascinating because he is trying to make sure more people can understand it, and where something starts is really important to root yourself in, right? So he said like information retrieval, and so we are learning along the way, and I just think to other people this stuff looks like magic, and it's not. And then that education is it's just like a responsibility. And so I am more technical than many people would assume me to be, and I probably downplay it, and not from a computer science perspective, but just because I need to understand how this works so that I can translate it, sell it, connect it. And it has been extremely powerful for me to come into Google because I also worked at Marin. So I understood like platforms, I understood the agency space, and having that collection of experiences and then like enough depth from a technical perspective to be able to solve problems or have context, or it's just really, really valuable. And so there, I'm going to know what's in there, but am I going to read every page and like be able to hang? No. Am I interested in the changes? I am, but I'm interested in like how that relates to like what my clients are experiencing, what that means for the future for our children, like what it means for the economy, the world, like the space that we work in. So I am actually genuinely interested in it.
And
I
I
really
really
am.
like that you have a generative AI agency. Like, what a way of doing a quick pivot into something that feels so old style and a little quirky.
I just want to pause for a second. The key takeaway from what she just said is that my wife is not going to read my book.
Never change.
We're skimming over that.
Dude,
She's reading it and she's, skimming the
Highlights.
diagram.
I've been here for every step of the process.
Highlights. And she's gonna pitch it to her clients. That's
There
gonna
you
be the
go.
most important.
It's
She
fine.
can't.
If he does an audio version, I'll just like turn that thing on.
No one wants an audio book of a technical book.
All right, I will agree with you on that. So you both have hinted at this huge question, and I know we're approaching time, but I don't want to go and end the episode without unpacking a little bit this concept of what is the future world that you're creating and seeing be created for your children. And you both have such a fascinating perspective on technology's role in that future. What kind of a world do you see, and what are the things that you're doing together to get them ready for that?
I'm going to let Mike answer this more, but I will say we spend a lot of time talking about this, and it's like we sound like the nerdiest couple ever, but we talk about a lot of these like really big concepts and like share articles, and it is really helpful to be in the same space because we're both really interested in it, and we do have very different POVs and we think differently. And so, it is nerdy, but it's a big part of what we talk about, and I actually really appreciate and enjoy that. But Mike has a way stronger, he's influenced a lot of my perspective on like what it means for the future from like a positive standpoint. Mike, I'll let you go.
I mean, I feel like you just like set all that up, and I honestly don't know. What I mean by that is like there's so many options for the ways that we can go, right?
Yeah.
Like we see that, especially with generative AI, like just going crazy with its opening up in a variety of ways. What's that going to do to education? What's that going to do to, like equity, and there's just so many elements here that we don't really know what's going to happen. But what we do know is that a lot of things are improving for people of privilege like us. And so what does that mean for our kids? How are they going to handle that? And I think that's one of like our biggest focus. One of our biggest areas of focus is like, how do we make sure our kids grow up having all the opportunities, but also not being terrible people? And so I think a lot of our discussions around the future center on that. But yeah, I mean, I just think there's a lot of opportunity that we are going to have a lot of opportunity to shape that stuff because of the spaces that we're in. And so again, that's where like the education for us is really important, and why, I mean, not why, because I'm just generally curious as it's B, but I think that there are a lot of things that we are continuing to learn to bring back to this core focus of like, what sort of future can we help create for our kids?
Yeah. Well, and to get more specific too, I think we're raising our children to think, to be thinkers, to have an opinion and a perspective, and to know that it's okay for them to challenge an idea or a concept or ask a lot of questions. Our oldest daughter Zora asked Google something and disagreed with the answer, like Google Home. And she was like, that's not right because this, and this. And I was like, yes, that is the right energy I want you to have, right? And so there are some durable skills that we can really make sure our kids have, and that is to be critical thinkers, to have ideas, to be leaders, and to have a sense of responsibility. And so when it comes to my own career, I spend a lot of time thinking about, what has my impact been? What is my responsibility with the opportunities that I can give to my children and that I am now in a place to have? Because like we also live very different lives than the ones we grew up having. And it's one of the reasons you see me do so much advocacy work and talk so much about representation, because we have a responsibility. We're shaping the tech that is shaping the world, and it has to have diverse perspectives incorporated into it. And so do I make sometimes potentially career limiting challenges? I know we both have that energy, Nadia, because that is a higher standard I set for myself. I attach it to my legacy and not just like a performance review or a job interview situation. And so the things that I know are going to matter for sure are, do we have a diverse set of minds, experiences, identities, and backgrounds contributing to this space? And can I influence that? Yes. Do my kids need to be able to choose, look through propaganda, build community, have skill set? Yes. And so that's where we focus, so that hopefully they can be the opportunity to create an equalizer for learning, for diverse and personalized learning, for neurodivergence, for some of the systems that are broken but we don't have an answer for, right? Can they create the possibility? Can they have the ideas? Can they be the types of leaders who stand up? And so that's a lot of where I spend my time thinking about it. And he has enabled in me to know what some of the good possibilities are, and not just the things that we should rightfully be concerned about that are changing. What can we do to be a force for good in that space?
I am glad that two people so thoughtful and genuine and authentic, like the two of you, are thinking about this subject. I'm grateful that you're writing a book about it. I'm grateful to call you a colleague and a friend and all that you are, Brittan, because only if people like you are thriving and charting through, then it means that we're changing something and we're setting up a better world for the future. So I know this is being a little bit emotional, let's say, no, but to add some levity, what is one piece of advice that you want to leave our listeners with today as they listen to this show? Who wants to go first?
I feel like I should be one of those people that always has like a one-liner just for these sorts of situations, but I don't. So I think I just want to encourage everyone to stay curious. I think especially as we age, it's very easy to be like, things are this way and this is the only way I do things and whatever. I think there's just so much of an opportunity to learn things, and there's just so many new things to learn. So I just encourage anyone listening, stay curious, make it a goal to learn something new as often as possible, and just broaden your horizons.
I
I'll
love
add
that.
to that. Yeah, I'll add to that a little bit. I think the more you can learn about yourself, the greater you can impact others, right? The more self-awareness, and then what you can teach and what you can gain from that, and get out of your own way and really realize that we are our own biggest limitation for our unlimited potential. And to not get into this rat race of just the achievement treadmill that ultimately isn't super fulfilling, and you're just racing to meet a bar set by other people that will change, and to identify for yourself and know for yourself and compete with yourself and unlock yourself, and tie that to a bar that is your legacy in everything you do, and stay present in that. And that's why being authentic and finding a way to do that and be successful, and define for yourself what success means, and being able to remind and reset and gain perspective when you lose that, because we all do, is one of the most powerful things that you can do, that will lead you in a way that might not be always clear what the next step is, but will lead you there with conviction, that is ultimately really meaningful, and meaningful to the others who can see you.
I love how connected your lessons are with what you're teaching your kids, to be thoughtful, to be thinkers. And both of you are saying, keep being thinkers. We should all, as adults, be thinkers as well. Be curious about yourself. Be curious about the outside world. Great, great messages. I have no doubt people are going to want to connect with you after listening to this. Where can they find each of you? Brittan, where do you want people to reach out and connect with you?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. I guess
Yeah.
that's the easiest thing. That's about it. I don't know.
Mike, what about you?
I am at iPullRank on all the channels. I'm also on LinkedIn, but I have the most common name you've ever heard in your life. So good luck finding me there.
And if they want to listen to your music, we'll put the link, but what's the name they should look for?
Yeah, it's Mike King, MICKING.
Can I also just plug? I don't know if you're gonna kill me, but Mike has this song called "Build" that I feel like is like our family anthem vibe. Not because, I mean, we love all of his music, but it really captures like the energy of like the culture of our family. It's like about building his business, like building what we do. And I just love it. I just love it. I love all of his music, but that one just feels like a really good, if you want to know what we're about.
I want to listen to it right now. I'm going to go and save it. What can I say, both of you? I knew that this would have been great. So I am happy that I told you, Brittan, to make this happen.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful that this is going to see the light in this show. You are a powerhouse. You're amazing. And your daughters are lucky to have you. You are the best.
Thank you for having us. And Nadia, come on, you are a powerhouse. You are a delight and a force. And I want to return all the compliments. And I just want to thank you for being such a light every single time I see you, and lifting up so many people around you. Jeff, I don't know you. I can't go in like that, but Nadia is a queen. A queen.
Agree. I share all of that. So yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Love you so much.
Right.
We will
Thank you
send you
both.
everything, and you will listen to it, and if you like it, and add all the edits that you want us to. So
that's good. Thank you so
have
much.
a good weekend.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Oh.
Such a cool idea. A totally different dynamic to have a couple on versus one person, and I really dug it. That was great.
I loved it. I mean, both of them have so much greatness to put into the universe that I almost want now to have each of them back.
Yeah. I mean, they are doing so much together and individually, and for the family, and for their jobs, many jobs, and hobbies, many hobbies. It's really inspiring to see how you work together. And I love their point about well, how do you make it work? And they're like, we're bad at making it work, but we know that we're good. Like the measuring stick is too high.
Sometimes we're just very demanding with ourselves. I wonder what would happen if we were just compassionate and kind. Anyways, Jeff, what is your biggest takeaway from this innovative conversation?
I think it would be, yeah, to I guess you said it much better than I would have said it. But seeing the two of them laughing, having fun, supporting, challenging, and just kind of wading through the muckiness of the human side of all the incredible things they're doing. But then having the humility to say, we don't know what we're doing, we're making it up, we're triaging every day, and the confidence to say, but we know that our bar is too high and we're kicking ass. And I think that is a really powerful combination. The humility to recognize that it's challenging, but the confidence to go, we're doing well. Like we know it's challenging and we're still doing well. And I thought that was a really cool thing to see a couple share, because we've heard that powerful combination of attributes in a single person before. But to see the reality of two partners figuring it out together was really special.
So nice.
What about you, Nadia? What is your top takeaway?
I loved many of the moments that they shared. Clearly, I am a big fan of Brittan. I all the time, whatever she does and says, I'm a huge fan and supporter. I'm gonna go with the parenting angle because as a mom, and I'm a mom of two girls, like they are. I always feel this pressure of having this responsibility to set them up for success, and being in a tech industry like we are, I've been asking myself a lot about what are the jobs that these kids are going to be doing in 10 years from now. What should I guide them to learn? What are the directions that they should be taking? And what she said is something that I've always dwelled on in my family, this concept about enable them to be thinkers. It's not about the specifics of what they're learning, but the ability to think with their own brain, with a critical spirit, recognize what is good, recognize what is bad, and doing decision-making processes that they're able to conduct with themselves without their parents around. For me, that is P0 of parenting. If I succeed in only one way with my children, that is the one thing. If they can tell me in 20 years from now, thank you, mom, for teaching us how to think, that would be a huge success in my parenting style.
I think that's a great call out. I was actually just with somebody who was reevaluating some of their parenting decisions because they said they had been really pushing their kid to be an engineer. And now they're questioning if that job will even exist by the time their kid is old enough. And I think what's so beautiful about what they're saying and what you're saying is that's the fundamental skill set that no matter what the world looks like, which we've got no clue, that's the reality, like we have no idea what the world will look like. So preparing them with a skill set like thinking, which of course is much deeper and expansive than one word, but is really what it comes down to, being a difference maker for people around you.
Imagine if we would have a college degree around thinking.
Oh, maybe we need that, don't you think?
And with that, we're going to say a huge thank you for all of our listeners for being with us in another 99 Humans episode. We've had a lot of fun. Please go check us out on 99humans.com. Save and subscribe to our shows in any podcast platform. Give us 5 stars if you like it. And when you stumble across our content on social media, just give us a like or a reshare. We always appreciate.
Thank you so much. It really makes a difference. Until next time, we'll see you then. Bye, Nadia.
Bye.